What's up, everybody? Thursday night, another night on the grind. Man, some memories are coming back, man. Seeing these posts from Sturgis and everybody's out there having a good time. And we had a pretty good memory shared back to me of that time, that one time we were in Sturgis with Brian Barber and the other guy in what I consider was I think it was so one, two, the third or the fourth build off. Not real sure which one it was, but the memories just came up. And it's cool to see those memories because it was a time when I was actually doing something in this industry other than just talking on the podcast here. Hello, Marcia. What are you doing? But anyway, it was a good time to be had. I enjoyed it. It was my first time in Sturgis. And man, I'll tell you, we had a blast. We were with cool people, did a lot of riding, a lot of enjoying. Beautiful scenery, beautiful riding, great friendships. It was just a good freaking time. Yes, I will get back there. I will get back there one day. As you all know, I did not make it this year for multiple reasons. The main reason I didn't go this year was because it's my granddaughter's first birthday tomorrow, the 9th. The second reason I didn't go is because I had the bright idea back in March, a year ago in March, to tear my blue bagger all the way down to the frame and completely redo it so that something cool will come out of it. What's up, Mr. Cole, Mrs. Marsha Fitzpatrick? I don't know where everybody's watching from, but it says we got 10 viewers. If you're on here, could you please leave a comment if you're watching? I don't care if it's just ... What's up, Robert Davis? But that's the whole reason we're not going to Sturgis this year. I know the bike won't be ready for Galveston either. But I will say this. We're doing a lot of things to this new build just to get out there, just to show, as everybody does. Everybody in the motorcycle game, they all do this. They build a bike to unveil it, either Galveston, their local rally, Sturgis, where Daytona. Well, we're going to have a pretty kick-ass bike, hopefully next year in Galveston. Or I'm sorry, next year in Sturgis. But anyway, let's get into tonight's show. Let me go and take care of these sponsors. First up tonight is our good friends over at Hell Speed Shop, hellspeedshop.com, as you can see clear on the screen. Man, when it comes to flannel shirts, t-shirts, hats, stickers, banners, they are in the community, working with the community to make some kick-ass flannel shirts, t-shirts, hats, all these kinds of things. Is this guy slow? Impaired? Bad crash? I don't even know what the hell that means. All right, hold on. Hellspeedshop.com. You need kick-ass swag, go to hellspeedshop.com and get yourself some. You can follow them on all the social medias too. Next up, our good friends over at Jade Affiliated. You need motorcycle wheels? This guy is the guy to go see. Go check him out. Harley Davidson wheels, big wheels, 32s, 34s, all of your racing wheels, kick-ass, just awesome designs. I got a set of the Walter Whites coming for me. But anyway, go check them out at jadeaf.com. Check them out at Jade Affiliated on all the social medias also. Next up, good friends over at AmericanDragSeats.com. Good friends because that's my company. It's what I do, custom motorcycle seats. Doesn't matter what you ride, we make custom motorcycle seats. You got a Harley, we actually make a full line of Harley Davidson aftermarket replacement seats. We do chopper seats, we do bobber seats, we do bagger seats. It doesn't matter. You need a kick-ass motorcycle seat, we got you covered. AmericanDragSeats.com, American Drag Seats / Attitude Inc. on Facebook, and American Drag Seats on all of your social medias. Next up, our good friends over at Indiana and Illinois Thunder Roads Magazine. Kick-ass publication. If you're in Indiana or Illinois, you've got to stop into one of the biker bars, one of your motorcycle shops, wherever you can, get their magazine. It is really a great magazine in that area. Next up, if you live right here in Manville, Texas has Legacy Bike Works right here in Manville, Texas. From mild to wild, custom to stock, it doesn't matter. Audio, full builds, fabrication, we do it all. Check us out, Legacy Bike Works on Instagram and Facebook, both. Next up, my good buddy over at hopkins-designs.com. You need a website, you need print, webs, logos, photos, videos, drone footage. He does everything. You've got to at least go check out his website at hopkins-design.com. Next up, our good buddies over at Urban Rides Magazine. Everybody knows him, Daniel Roby. He's up there in Sturgis right now having a blast with the All Cycle Showdown. He's doing the stereo competitions, the bike shows. Plus, he's giving you great footage. Man, he's always going live. You got to go check him out at urbanridesmagazine.com. Urban Rides Magazine on social media, every platform. He's out there. And you can check out the sister publication, Street Bagger Magazine. All right, so here we are. Steve Jacobson. Is this guy slow? I'm assuming you're talking about me. Am I impaired? Did I have a bad crash? None of the above. I just actually got done eating a huge freaking dinner, and I'm speaking a little slow just because I am so freaking full. But let me go and get my shout outs. What's up, Marcia? Mr. William Cole's in the house, Robert Davis, Patrick Price, Steven Jacobson watching over there in YouTube land. We appreciate you. Uncle Bruno's in the house. How was that fishing trip, Uncle Bruno? Anyway, so tonight's show, I'd like to get into not audio. Did you hear me? Not audio. The audio game is just, it is what it is right now. I could give two shits less about it right now simply because I don't have an audio bike, so therefore I'm going to zip it for a while on the audio stuff. But what I am going to talk about is choppers. Choppers are, in my opinion, coming back, and there are so many badass chopper builders out there. My son and I here at Legacy Bike Works, we just finished up a full, complete restoration on a Martin Brothers bike. And the story behind this bike, I'll show you some pictures of when it very first came into our shop. See if I can't find them. But the bike was underwater and it was just beat up. I mean, the motor was locked up. I mean, it was really, really bad. Needed some big time love, big time love on this bike because everything was rusted, salt water. I mean, we couldn't even get the jugs off of the head. I mean, off the motor. I mean, that's the carburetor, how bad it was, full of soot and everything. But we took the time, and unfortunately, the customer himself took a little while to get with us, to get us approval on doing everything. But he did approve, and he was going to come see us, and he tragically passed away literally 2 days before we were supposed to get together to get this build going. But we took this bike all the way down to just the bare frame, completely torn apart. And I have at least 1,000 pictures of this thing, but we took the heads off, and you can see it's pretty freaking nasty. But we tore it completely down all the way, and it was pretty bad. Like, this is just the throat of the carburetor once we got it off. That's how just it was. We did get to the point we got all the way down to the jugs, but we literally could not get the pistons out once we got the jugs off. Couldn't get the pistons out, couldn't get anything to break loose. And as you can see, there's water in the cylinder right there. And it's rusted, completely rusted. That's as far as we were able to get the jug off of the block. That's as far as it would come off. And we could never get them off simply because it was just. Can you imagine being in salt water for that period of time? And we went through the entire thing, brand new motor. As just like I said, we stripped it all the way down to the bare frame. I'm going through pictures and more pictures and more pictures to show you guys. It was a full bore restoration, full bore. I mean, we took every nut, bolt, piece of wiring, the wheels. I mean, we took it down to nothing. We had to save the paint job because if you know anything about Joe Martin, that boy can paint. See, all the way down to just the frame sitting there. Try to get it to clear up for you guys. And we're able to get the wheels all the way broken down, got everything re-chromed, all new bearings, all new everything. But there's the frame just sitting there, just a bare frame. And like I said, we set it up. I mean, and there's pictures of the whole entire process, all the way to the point where like all the new rear end chrome, everything's done. New rebuilt the forks, repolished the triple trees. Every square inch of the bike was touched. All new, complete, brand new wiring harness, which I'm going to show you guys a picture in a second because I took a lot of time when I did the wiring in this bike. Did all the hydraulics, went through the handlebars, went through the frame. Can you get in touch with me? Joe, can you do me a favor, Joe? Can you send me a message, Kevin Sockwell, or can you send Uncle Bruno a message? Or Uncle Bruno, can you get a hold of Joe Crane or Crine? I could be saying that wrong. Could be saying it wrong, and I do apologize. But like I said, brand new wiring all the way around. Brand new headlight assembly, all new internals. I mean, we did every square inch of this bike. And in doing so, our product, when it was done, you end up with a completely brand new, rebuilt, badass Martin Brothers bike with the original paint job on it. And the customer was absolutely beside himself. He loved it. I mean, it came out great. I recovered the seat on it. That's the customer standing there with some of his employees and stuff. And like I said, he was extremely happy and pleased. Because it's an heirloom of his grandfather and his father. And I was glad that he chose me. His dad chose me, but he chose to follow through and let me finish doing it. And it came out beautiful. I love it. It is an extreme chopper. And the fact that I got to ride one of Joe Martin's custom built bikes, that was the best. That was what I was talking about. Process now of building another chopper for another customer. It's a 360 rear wheel, single-sided swing arm, right side drive with a 30-inch front wheel, long, low, massive wheels. And we're going to try to knock this one out of the park too. No, it's not a bagger and it's not a soft tail. It's just a badass chopper. And I was blessed because I was able to get choppers. This will be my third chopper to do from just a bare frame. Good evening, Miss Nancy. And I love building choppers. I also want to get into building some bobbers and do some true metal fabrication. I really want to build the frame, do the fenders, build the gas tank, exhaust. I want to do as much of the metal fabrication on the bikes as I possibly can. I don't care who you are. It's so cool to walk up at any bike show, any rally, and see a really cool custom chopper. The guys over in somewhere in the Middle East, Chic Customs, man, I came across these guys on TikTok. I went over to Instagram, followed them, and those dudes are building some of the most insane choppers I've ever seen. And I don't care. I mean, it's been done before, but you know what? These guys are actually building kick-ass stuff, and I want to see more of it. I would like to see a lot less of the hate and the hating on each other. How long did the restoration take? So, Jeremy, the restoration took me legitimately okay. So, from the day that he gave us the money, it took us a year. I want to say right at a year and a half is what it took us to get the restoration on the Martin Brothers bike done. Now, I will say this, and I'm glad you asked that, because you would think doing a restoration, it would be, hey man, you take the old parts off, you put the new parts on, you fire it up, and you're done. Like it could be done in a week or two, because we didn't paint the bike. But what we faced 3.5, almost 4 months waiting on all of the chrome to get done. We waited, I want to say it was over 6 months, just to get the hydraulics done on the bike. Plus, I am going to explain this to you because it was something that got me, and it got me good, was when I ordered the transmission. It's a Jim 6-speed hydraulic. When I ordered the transmission, I just assumed it was a hydraulic right side drive transmission. So for about 2 weeks, I kept trying to find the banjo fitting that fit this. And I tried and I tried. And I mean, I beat myself up in it. And it literally turned into about 2.5 months of looking for this banjo bolt to fit this system. And I'm going to admit this openly, because there were 4 things on this motorcycle and the transmission was one. Once we got the offset done and we were able to find those parts, we bought the parts, everything went together easily. But when we tried to put the hydraulic line on, it just wouldn't go. And it was a weird size. It was a 5/16 24. Well, if you know anything about hydraulics, a 5/16 24 is very, very unique. So unique, it literally took almost 2 months of doing internet research to find a 5/16 24 inch long banjo bolt. And when I found it, I was like, all right, I can finish up the hydraulics. Hydraulics are ran through the handlebar, down the handlebar. They go through the neck. Actually, they go beside the neck, but right into the back, the down tube. They go down the down tube, all the way into the right side, underneath the exhaust, down the frame, and they come out right behind the frame. So everything is internal, all the hydraulics, all of the electrical, all of your throttle cable, everything's internal on this bike. So there's no loose wires anywhere. I think if you were to look at the headlight, the tail light, the starter, if you put all of those together with the coil wires, you might have 12 inches of wire between all of those components that you can put your finger on. And I mean, you're talking like this much wiring, 1 inch worth of wiring showing somewhere. So to get back to what I was saying is that once we figured out what size that the banjo bolt was, I was putting everything together. And right when I got everything put together, I started to want to bleed the hydraulics. And that's when I noticed there's no bleeder on the clutch cover. And I looked and I was like, what the how are you supposed to bleed this? And I was like, hold on, wait, something is wrong here. So I unbolted it, flipped it over, and noticed, and I'm admitting it, it was a mechanical cover. It wasn't a hydraulic cover. And I sat there for 2 months and I never took the cover off to actually see that it was mechanical. The reason it's a 5/16 24 is because all of your mechanical clutch cables screw into the housing, and those are 5/16 24 threads. And then you have the hook that hooks onto the the plate that has your 3 bearings in it, so it pulls it. And that's why I couldn't find a banjo bolt for it, because it wasn't hydraulic. And I admit that freely. So that was problem number one that took us 2 months to figure out. And had I just looked, I could have fixed it instantly, because I already had a hydraulic cover just sitting from another job we did. And he ended up wanting to use a cable, so mechanical. So I had the part sitting there. And as soon as I saw that, it literally took me 10 minutes to fix that, to get it all going. All of it. It was really cool, because I already had all the hydraulic lines done, already had everything done. I just had to put the hydraulic cover on there instead of the mechanical cover that it came with. So anyway, that was lesson number one. Lesson number two, we were putting the exhaust on the bike. And when we go to put the exhaust on, it's brand new chrome, brand new gaskets, brand new studs, brand new motor. We're at the front jug. And my son's on the back jug. I'm on the front jug, because they're two independent pipes that bolt together on this one at the transmission. So he's fiddling, farting with his, I'm fiddling with mine. I get mine put in place with the new gasket, and I've got everything in place, and I'm putting the nuts on, and then I'm putting the second nut on, and I sit there and I sit there and I sit there and I sit there, and the nut just won't start. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I bumped the edge of the threads and, galled a little bit of it when I went to put the exhaust on. Pulled the exhaust back off, looked at it. I got me a thread chaser, or a thread file for some people, and I chased it. I just chased the threads. But where that stud sits, it sits like this, and you've got this wall sitting here, and you can't get to it. So anyway, so I figured, okay, well, let me put a die on there, and I'll just chase the threads with a die. So I did that, and I couldn't get the die in there. I could not get the die to go on, because there wasn't enough room. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm going to have to weld a nut on the end of this stud, pull that stud out, and put a fresh stud in. So I welded the nut on the end of the stud, got it, was going, it would not turn, and it snapped off in the head. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is a brand new motor, never been ran, never been started. And I snapped the flipping stud off in the head. So I know they make a kit to replace those studs that you put it right in place, and you can bolt the good one on, and it holds it perfectly to center punch and to drill in the center of the stud. Well, I don't have one of those. And I wasn't about to pull this head off of a brand new motor, take it over to the shop that had it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to relax for just a second. I'm going to get me a small stainless steel punch. I don't know if you guys know the difference, but there's punches for stainless steel, and then the other punches are for carbon and aluminum. So I just happen to have a small stainless steel punch. So I got in there. I don't know how I did it, but I knocked center the first time. I knocked center. It was fucking awesome. Excuse my French. So I get the drill bit, and I drill 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 until I get to threads. And once you get to the threads, you literally can take a easy out, screw the easy out, and it will pull the rest of the threads right out of there. You don't even have to rethread it. So I did that, but I went ahead and chased it and cleaned the threads. I happen to have brand new studs. Why in the hell I have brand new exhaust studs is beyond me. All I can think is I bought them when I did my chopper in 18. So thank God I had the new stud. So I ran the new stud in there, put the exhaust on, boom, everything went on great. It was perfect. But that was one of the gremlins and the hiccups of rebuilding this bike. Now let's go on to the third thing that happened to this bike. Third thing. Actually, there's 5 things. So the third thing. So we get a brand new battery, put the battery in. It's a lithium battery because it's a tiny little box, 2 7/8 inch deep, or thick, 2 7/8, 6 7/8 wide, and 5 1/4 tall. That's the battery. That's all you can get. So I found a battery. I bought the battery. It was almost $300. I put the battery in, hooked up the cabling, and I kept all my wiring loose in the bike for the headlight, the handlebars. I didn't cut and permanently solder anything. I kept everything loosely done so that I could make sure everything was perfect and everything worked. Worked on the bike, and we could not get it started. It just would not start. And I was like at the end of my wits. So I called my good buddy, Doug Kine. And he literally spent about 2 hours on the phone with me going over the wiring harness, which was an Ultima wiring harness, pre-made. I freaking love them. But after about, I'm going to just roughly say 10 hours, of which 2 of those hours towards the end, I was talking to Doug, we found out that the switches on the handlebars are momentary switches. I didn't get on, off, on switches. Well, everywhere I look, they don't make on, off, on switches for this setup that I got. They only make momentary. So we were going to have the high beam, the low beam. We were going to have the start and the stop, everything on the handlebars. We were unable to do that. So we found out that the buttons were keeping the positive signal to go to the coil. All brand new shit to me. It's not the first time I've done this wiring harness, and the first one worked. It worked great. Still on my chopper right now. Still works fucking amazing. This one, because of the switches on the handlebars, because they were only momentary, it just killed the entire system. So once we got that figured out, cool. So then we're working, why my headlight's not coming on? Well, it's an Arlen Ness headlight that was made and manufactured back in 2005, 2006, used on this 07 Martin Brothers bike. I bought the new bulb. I bought the new bulb assembly, and we could not make this headlight work. No matter what we did, how we did it, it just wouldn't work. If you take the bulb assembly out and you put it on the bench and you actually put the wires on it, it would light up every time. You put it back in the housing, you put the housing back on the bike, and you hook the wiring up to it, it wouldn't work. And it took me probably 2 hours of just doing the research back and forth, trying to figure everything out I could possibly figure out. And what I figured out is that all of the corrosion from being at the beach and being underwater and all that, it had pitted the aluminum and filled the aluminum, because aluminum's porous. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but it's porous, and it filled it up with so much what's it called? Somebody help me here. What's it called? Shit. There's a name for it. Anyway, corrosion, basically. It just pitted the aluminum so bad that it prohibited it from getting a good positive ground. So I had to buy a brand new headlight. Well, that ate up just damn near an entire day trying to figure out the headlight. Cool. Once we get that done, and I finally get the bike to actually turn on and get the headlight actually working with the new headlight, the first time you'd hit the start button, it would kill the system. It would kill the whole system. Like the battery was dead, like zero. I'd put the charger on it and let it charge. As soon as it got up to the 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, I'd go to turn the ignition on, the headlight would come on, but the second that I hit the starter button, it would just go and stop. And I was like, what the? So it ultimately, I ended up buying 4 batteries for this bike. And I learned a very, very, very valuable lesson with it, because here's the deal. There is not a conversion chart from lead, AGM, to lithium. So when you buy a lead battery or an AGM battery, they give you this number called cold cranking amps. That means how many amps are at your fingertips when you need to start your battery, start your bike. So this bike had a 360, or originally a 300 cold cranking amp lithium battery. Then it had a 360 cold cranking amp lithium battery. I called Optima. I called, was it called Noco? I called Limitless. I called one other, I forget the name of the company. Let me see if I've got the back. what do they call, anti-gravity batteries. These guys right here, not a single one of the people I just called could tell me what a conversion rate for a lithium battery to an AGM battery or a lead battery. They couldn't tell me what the cold cranking amps were on that battery. Well, finally, when I called these guys, he told me, he goes, well, I just know that battery, it says it's advertised at 360 cold cranking amps, but respectfully, it only has about 180 if you're going to compare it to a regular battery. And I was like, well, bro, it says right here on the website, 360 cold cranking amps. You're false advertising this. I spent $284 on this battery. So the company did issue me a refund of my money, and I mailed them their battery back. In doing so, I found another company called Full Spectrum, and I sat on the phone with this guy for over an hour, and he explained everything to me about lithium batteries, how to check them, how to charge them, how to work with them, the way that they work, the numbers that they use. And it's not like regular batteries with cold cranking amps. It's not even remotely the close. But I'm going to talk to the guy. We're going to have him on the show. I'm going to interview him, and he's going to actually explain how these batteries work. But respectfully, we got that figured out. I bought one of his batteries, put the goddamn thing in there, boom, fired right up. I didn't tell y'all about the bad starter I got, because that was the fifth thing, was the bad starter, but that happened before the battery, and it killed me. It killed me dead, because I couldn't understand how a brand new starter out of the box would not work in this Ultima 107 motor, but it doesn't. Laugh out loud. You give me a hard time, Ed. I appreciate you, though. I appreciate you a lot. But after talking to Doug Kime, he did explain to me that spike starters are not brand new starters. They're remanufactured starters, completely taken apart, all new brushes, new wiring, everything. But what happened is the way that the starter goes in, it actually has a little bit of room for play, and you have to hit the sweet spot to get it in, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole thing. So I ended up buying a new starter specifically from Doug, which, if I'm pretty sure the starter was from Drag Specialties, but we don't have a Drag Specialties account. So I got the starter fixed, I got the headlight fixed, I got the ignition fixed, I got the wiring fixed, I got the hydraulic clutch fixed, I got the battery fixed, boom, 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 got the exhaust fixed. Everything was done, delivered the bike to the customer. He's in love with it. I love it. But it was such a massive learning curve, because there was so many gremlins with this bike, and you can't change anything, because I'm not doing any welding. I'm not doing any fabrication. All I'm doing is making this badass original Martin Brothers custom bike look brand new again, with brand new components, brand new forks, rebuilt, brand new. Everything is brand new. All we used was the frame, the gas tank, the oil bag, the handlebars, had the forks. We actually rebuilt the forks, rebuilt the master cylinders, rebuilt the calipers. We didn't rebuild the master cylinders. We bought new upper and lower controls from Accutronics. Always badass equipment, badass stuff. But my whole point is that we spent so much time chasing little issues, because you can't, if you would have built it from scratch, you could have picked how big your battery box was. You could have decided about the metal work that goes around the starter and goes around the battery and all those things. I could have decided where my lines were ran, my hydraulics were ran. I could have picked the headlight I wanted. I could have done all these things. So it was meticulous. You had to use what was there, tear everything apart, and rebuild everything to brand new specs, new bearings, new chain, from the tail light LEDs, from that housing to the headlight assembly and housing, everything in between, it's brand new. Not a single thing was missed or mismatched. I've got pictures of the wiring when we were done with the wiring. So when I tell you we redid the wiring, um, it was it was just insane how clean the actual wiring came out when it was done. And I'll show you guys right now. Very clean, clean, clean wiring. You know, that's the starter with the battery in it. And you can see every bit of wiring. There's no wiring under that seat other than the starter and the ignition. And I'm showing you guys this because I've gotten trash talked before because my wiring isn't good. Well, guess what? My wiring is meticulous. I even got trash talked because I used white uh, tie straps or zip ties instead of red or color matched. That's for the coil. That's the little bit of wire you get to see under the gas tank. Um, it's just such a small amount of wiring in that bike. It was so easy to get it clean, very clean. Tim McLaughlin custom bike, V chopper, potential nightmare, V 4 to 5 wires. Yeah, always learning. Yep. And you know the funny thing, Ed, is if you guys ever hear me say I know everything about whatever it is, it doesn't matter, chopper building to wiring to metal fabrication, man, slap the shit out of me. I will never claim to know everything about any of it because every day we're living, we're learning, we're doing. And I guess the reason I want to tell you about this chopper is because we don't blab it. We don't just throw it out there. Look at what we're doing. Look at what we're doing. But there's people that follow me and friends that knew I had this bike, that knew the customer had passed away tragically, that knew we were rebuilding it, that knew we were trying to restore it. I mean, Joe and Amanda Martin know it. You know, I texted her pictures 2 years ago trying to get any information on the bike that I could get because you couldn't like get the carburetor apart. It's a Genesis. We found the carburetor. It's like $1,400 for a replacement Genesis carburetor. So we ended up not going back with that. We ended up going with the Ultima, and the bike runs amazing. It sounds great. It's a custom badass build. And my whole point is that Dan Juban, Kevin Beard or Baird, Brian Barber, Doug Kime, all those people, those 4 people literally helped me with this bike when I was in trouble with it and couldn't figure shit out. But Kevin Beard and Dan Juban, they actually came down here to visit and they helped me work on that bike a solid day. And, you know, and I appreciate it. I look forward to doing that because I'll tell you what, the cool thing is when you're building a bike, and it doesn't matter if you're building a show bike, a custom bike, wrenching on your, you know, your 99 Dyna wide bike, it doesn't matter. When you're in the garage hanging out with your buddies and you're working on shit you all enjoy working on, man, that's what life's about. That's what life is about. Spending time with your buddies, enjoying what you do. I tend to have the mantra in life there's nothing I can't do. There's just a lot of shit I've never done before, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. It just means I haven't done it yet. And you push me hard enough, I'll prove to you I can do it. You know, the way I look at mechanical stuff is it's all nuts and bolts. The way I look at the fabrication stuff, it's just metal. You just bend it, heat it, do whatever you can with it. And if it doesn't work out, man, throw it in the trash and start over with a new piece of metal. You know, that's the only way you're going to learn. I enjoy this shit. I wish there were more people around the country that I could get with and do stuff like that and spend time with because there's a lot of cool people out there. You know, Ed Nelson, you know, he doesn't hold any punches with me. He messages me crazy shit all the time. He leaves comments. I'd love to wrench on a bike with him, you know, like to spend some time with William Cole. Really love to spend some time with Nancy Ween. I've gotten a little bit of time with Tim McLaughlin. But at the end of the day, it's all about just hanging out and having a good time. Whether you're at a stereo competition, you're building a bike, for fuck's sakes, I mean, you could be having lunch with your buddies. It's just, life is short. You got to enjoy it, man. You got to enjoy what you do it, and you got to enjoy the people you do it with. Shit's not always going to go your way. And dude, I'll tell you right now, I'm a testament to that, because those that actually talk to me every day on the phone, not just on this show, I'm always talking to people about stuff that I'm doing. And for some of you guys that don't know what's going on in my life, let me explain this to you. I have started a new company called Orion Metalworks LLC. Custom metal fabrication, custom industrial metal fabrication. Keep your fingers crossed, man. This shit works and goes great. We've spent a lot of money to get this thing up and going just to make it happen. I'm going to make an Orion page, a TikTok for it. I'm going to make an Orion Instagram and Facebook page, because we're going to be doing videos and stuff of that stuff. It's not motorcycles. It's not even motorcycle related. It's just industrial metal fabrication, welding, making shit that either exists and someone doesn't want to pay for, or making stuff that doesn't exist. And it's all metal work. And you guys eventually can go over there once we get everything set up, and I'll share links with it and everything like that. But hopefully that turns into something really, really good. We do the motorcycles on the side. We do them for fun, have good customers, have good, memories, good experiences, but use Orion to make a living, and it'll be pretty cool. But anyway, I'm pretty much done blabbing for tonight. I don't have much more to talk about. I wanted to really go into the whole Martin Brothers bike, because like I said, we didn't post about it. We didn't put it out there every week saying, look at us, look at us, look at us. But it was a very big build. It was a very sentimental thing to me, because Scott Levere was a good friend of mine since 9th grade. For those that don't know, I'm about to be 55. You do the math on that. It's 37 years, if I'm not mistaken, 35 years. I'm sorry, it's 40 years of friendship with this cat. And for him to pass away and never get to see what I actually did, I was able to complete what he wanted done. Now the bike's his son's, and he's really digging that bike. And I don't need accolades and pats on the back, because the one thing that made it worth it was when Zach told me, he's just like, thank you so much for doing this. It looks amazing. I love it. And I'm going to be able to, carry on, because my grandfather owned it first, then my dad owned it, and now I've got it. And I was like, dude, that's the best thing in the world right there. And appreciate that, William Cole. I really, really appreciate that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let you all go for the night. But y'all go have a kick-ass week. I will do that, Uncle Bruno. I will do that. But anyway, you guys go have a great weekend. My granddaughter turns 1 tomorrow. That's so awesome to be a grandparent, but B, to be her grandfather is the best thing in the world. So anyway, y'all have fun. Y'all enjoy your weekends, man. If you're in Sturgis, have a kick-ass time, and we'll see you all back here next Thursday night.